Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the After Hours SEO podcast. This is episode number 5, and today we're going to be talking about SEO metrics and what really matters, what you should be looking at, and how to know if your SEO campaign is on track or not. So, obviously I'm joined by my good friend Lawrence.
Yo, what's up? I'm here. We're alive and kicking. Got a new studio. This is great.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, you guys might realize that the environment's a little bit different. We're no longer at our old place, so level it up.
Yeah, but it's more customizable, and we're looking forward to dealing with the new environment. It's great.
That's it. Hope you guys like it as well. So cool. Let's jump straight into it. So, Lawrence, what are the most important metrics to track for an SEO campaign?
So when I think about metrics, I think about two categories first: leading indicators and lagging indicators. So I apply this to not only just SEO, but in the business as well. What are the leading things that lag into those final results? So lagging would be revenue, conversions, those metrics that we're actually the final result of which everything is hinged upon. But then the leading ones, there could be a multiplicity of those. The most obvious one being impressions.
Yeah.
Leading to clicks, which would be more of a lagging indicator. But I think my views changed over the last couple of years that, conversion and revenue is the ultimate game. And I think in SEO, it's very hard. It's been always very hard to measure against those metrics. But with newer tools in place and at least a lot more changes and shifts in how we can see those metrics, I think having things like impressions and clicks above traffic as well, but also leading to, overall looking at what pages are converting, but you can never obviously see it off base of which keyword directly unless you're using a whole bunch of tools behind that. So we've always gone by keywords, traffic, and clicks through the page, final being revenue. But I'm even adding things in like brand search volume for once, because I think definitely how a brand's perceived online has changed over time. And maybe something like that is an optional leading indicator to add to your metric set or whatever traffic visibility dashboard that you have. But yeah, overall, you want something that actually drives everything through to the final result.
Yeah.
You have really good leading indicators to make sure that if something's off in the lagging indicator, those leading ones give you the signals of where things are going wrong.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Would you say like an SEO campaign, can you attribute the growth in brand searches to the SEO campaign? Or is that just more of a metric around the overall brand health and something like you tell the client like, oh, hey, your brand mentions online have grown by 100%. That's not 100% something that like we're directly responsible for as your SEO team. But what I can tell you is that your brand is definitely growing online and becoming more, large and big and more successful. But yeah, that's just something that I guess they would like to hear as an extra bit of additional information. But it's not something that the SEO manager can say like, I did that, right?
Unless they can prove it towards a particular category. So if we can do something like DPR where we can show you've done nothing to these pages, and then we did this DPR campaign and we got these citations and this amount and towards this particular type of sentiment or category, which is very, very hard to do because people often like linking to the homepage or something a little bit more generally interesting. Then you could say, well, if that triggered that event, but you did nothing else, give us credit for that.
Yeah,
but the brand will always take a look, always be cynical about, well, we did X, Y, and Z. Can you prove that? Well, some will believe it really easily, but I think that's pretty healthy. I don't think any brand should take everything as literally, because I think every single market provider would try to defend their channel and say like, we want to claim credit for this. But if it's overall working for you and you can see the measurement and saying, okay, someone did this and it resulted in this. What's key is sometimes people miss out the action of which they did, or tracking that from a particular point and then showing and tying the result to that. And there may be some indirectness that you can talk through it, but then in SEO, you can speak the same about people doing really well and paid. And then that also conversely working with SEO at the same time too. So I think as long as you're tracking the measurements of which, and also getting hyper specific about if you're doing it to a particular area of the business, or the easiest one is we uploaded this page and we got this ranking within this amount of time. Who can deny that? Because no one else ever touched that. But when you have a bigger brand which has multiple things going on at any time, Black Friday's coming up. There's so much brand activity happening around it. But if things were positioned pretty well, ranking pretty well already, the SEO does have to take some form of credit to being able to lock in that positioning over time. I have seen great brands do no SEO at all and rank really well, and that's great. But that is never consistent. Like you'll maybe stay there for a time, but if you don't have a good SEO program, it'll fall apart in 6 months or a year because competitors are coming after you.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned DPR. Can you tell the viewers if they don't know what DPR is? Can you define that?
Well, that's digital PR, my friend.
Digital PR. I was like, I've heard of PR, but what's DPR?
Yeah, everyone's got their new acronyms these days. But digital PR is a form of link outreach where we're looking at more higher tier publications by using data-led studies, using brand-led stories, creative content as well to get really high-quality publications linking to a brand. Now, this is obviously a lot more technical and advanced than your normal, hey, I just want to guest post and I'll find someone online to link to me.
Yep.
This is actually ideating and thinking really heavily about what you want to talk about, getting actual journalists to write about that and then link to you as well. The hardest part is actually getting a link because people aren't going to give that away that easily. But now more and more I'm realizing, and studies are coming out. I don't know if you saw that Ahrefs blog where it talked about how brand citations now, especially in LLMs, are very important. Even just having the brand name there. And I remember Rand Fishkin saying, like, you think at this stage that an algorithm won't figure out if there's a link or not that a brand's worth talking about if it's been mentioned millions of times online. Like, do you think it's that unsophisticated to think that way? So I'm all strong on like brand citations as much as links these days. So if a brand's willing to write about me, awesome. If it's willing to link to me, even better. But I'm not going to sort of throw away the brand citation as like, it's not important. I'm much more flexible these days.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, these days I've been hearing a lot in the SEO community, like unlinked brand mentions are just as important as having like an anchor text that links back to your page.
Yeah. So theoretically just as important. Agreed.
Yeah. So if you just have like click here, but before the click here, you actually just drop that unlinked mention. Apparently that's really good. And personally, from personal experience, I've been doing that a lot with our clients. And I have seen that ever since we started doing that, we've started appearing more and more in the AI search results, or AIO, at the very top. And I'm like, that's the only one thing that I changed. Like I started wrapping our backlinks in more context. So I started to make sure that all of the surrounding text around that anchor has like what we do alongside with our brand name and then the anchor. So
it's like a very simple what, who, where,
Yeah, exactly.
A very simple framework around that link.
Exactly. Like, yeah, exactly what you said. Like, what we do, who we are, like where we're located and like where we operate. And I give the website master the entire paragraph. So I say like, I want you to put this whole paragraph into this spot inside your niche edit or inside your article as a niche edit.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, boom. And then it's like, I don't give them just the anchor anymore. I give them the whole like paragraph.
Just
right?
do this.
Yeah. And a lot of people are very receptive to it. They're like, oh yeah, 100%. Let me just boom, copy paste it in.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, let me take that backlink money. But yeah, it seems to be working really, really well. So
okay,
that's a handy tip. To jump back into the topic though of important metrics to track. Lately, I think I've had a shift in mentality as well that's similar to you. Like, people really care about conversions at the end of the day because metrics like traffic, impressions, etc. People are like, oh yeah, shit, that looks nice. But business owners always ask us at the end of the day, how many customers did I get from this? Or like, how has your campaign translated to more revenue for my business?
Yeah.
So we've kind of like come up with this formula that we track now, which is everything starts off with impressions. So obviously, like, the more impressions you get, that leads to more clicks. So it goes like impressions. It's kind of let me just kind of visualize this.
We get like a graphic here.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a funnel, right, at the top. So it's like a funnel at the top, and then it comes down like this. So you have impressions at the top, right? So let's say you have like 100,000 impressions. That would then lead to clicks. So what's your click-through rate? Let's say it's like 2%. So you have 100,000 impressions. 2% is 2,000 clicks, right? Of 2,000 clicks, how many of them actually contact you? So this is for a service-based business. How many of those actually turn into a lead, right? Because just because you get 2,000 clicks, you might get 0 leads if your like website's really crap, for example. Or if your website's really good, you might get like 10% click to lead ratio. And then of the leads, how many of those leads actually turn into a quote? So a lot of the time, 50% of the leads that you get from any service-based business, shit kickers, window shoppers, or telemarketers. So we always have a rule that whatever amount of leads that we project that somebody is going to get in a month, we halve it, because we're like 50% of them are immediately going to be
Link
crap.
orders.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's always going to be crap in there. Like you'll never ever get 100% like perfect, qualified leads. So already we're like, okay, we started up here with 100,000, and then we went to 2,000 clicks, and then normally like your lead to click ratio is like 10%. So then you have from 2,000 clicks, now you're at 200 leads. And of those 200 leads, 50% of them are crap. So now you have 100 qualified leads. And then of your qualified leads, how many of them are actually going to, are you actually going to be able to give quotes out for? Because you're not going to be able to help everyone.
Yeah.
And that's typically like, I think it's normally like 50-ish% as well. So now you have like 50 good leads. And then now it's all about your conversion rate at the end of the day. So most people sell at like 30% if you're like a kind of like a smaller business and you haven't figured out your like proper sales process yet. They normally sell around 30%. So now you have 50 people. So you have 30% of 50, which is like 15 off the top of my head. So then you have 15 sales. So from that equation, you can now figure out, okay, how many impressions do I need to get? How many clicks do I need to get in order to figure out and project how much real sales my client can get? And then from there, you can figure out like, okay, what do I need to do to get my client the right amount of impressions and the right amount of clicks in order to get them their real desired result, which is how many conversions am I going to get? Because a lot of people focus on how many leads am I going to get them? But we don't look at that. We're like, how many true leads am I going to get them? So I'm like, shit, I need to do even more on top of what I'm already doing in order to make sure that like my client is successful with their campaign. And a lot of the time, like we used to think, hey, we're not responsible for what happens later in the funnel, like down here. Like I'm not responsible for your closing rate. I'm not responsible for your qualification rate or the amount of times that you give out quotes to your leads. I'm not responsible for that. But when you think that way, the clients leave because they're like, dude, like I don't care if you're responsible for that or not. I care at the end of the day.
Money?
Exactly, where's my money? Like, am I getting ROI out of you? Because if you're not responsible for that, and you tell me that, it's like why am I paying you then? Like if you're basically telling me that this marketing channel at the moment, my business is not yet ready for, because my metrics at the bottom of the funnel suck. So therefore, I'm just going to stop paying you and stop working with you, and I'm just going to focus on fixing up my stuff down here. So we're like, okay, let's try to help them at the top of the funnel as much as possible to make it really, really freaking hard for them to fail or get a negative ROI with us in the long term.
So you're trying to jam as many people through the door so they...
yeah. So it's like we're trying to...
increase impressions as the leading, and then everything filters through.
Yeah. And like do more than what is typically expected. Because like we really want to try to force success, right? And at the end of the day, if we go above and beyond like what normal people would do or normal agencies would do, and they still don't work out, that does happen sometimes.
Yeah.
It just really can mean like that person or that business has a lot of things that they need to work on the back end before their marketing is really going to work. Because you can have excellent marketing and heaps of lead flow, but if you don't have like a sales team to pick up the phone, your pickup rate is really bad. You haven't looked at the competition in terms of your pricing as well. Like where are you in terms of pricing? Are you really expensive? Are you really cheap? Are you somewhere in the middle? Is your pricing competitive? Then yeah, obviously you're going to think that the marketing doesn't work, but sometimes it's not the marketing. It's just like your funnel, somewhere in your funnel is broken. Yeah. So when we break it out like that and we look at every stage of the funnel and we track like how things are going, we can really clearly see where is it in a business's funnel that's really breaking down. And we can show it to them as well. We can be like, hey man, look, Mr. Client, you got this many impressions, this many clicks, but what happened here between clicks to your, I guess, the number of people that contacted you from being a click dramatically dropped. So you had like 2,000 clicks, but only like 10 people contacted you. So something's happening right here, which is most likely your website design or product offer.
Yeah.
And then we can tell them like, okay, this is the problem. And then they're like, oh, okay, I can see that. How do I fix it? And then, yeah, since we started to offer like website design as well, but like the biggest problem is likely your value prop is unclear on your website. Like people don't know. Yeah, people don't know what they're buying. The copy is not good. It's not conveying your business in the best possible light. So they don't feel like they want to give you a call because they don't feel like they're in the right place or you're the right person to help them. So we need to fix this. And when you can show it to them like that, they're like, oh, wow, like that actually really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to fix my business first before I worry about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Another big miss in that I think a lot of businesses can control is the CRM. I'm a big HubSpot person. We use in our agency. There's Go High Level. There's Pipedrive. There's heaps of CRMs out there. It's like, oh, I have to manage something else. If it's like what you're tracking your leads on spreadsheets,
Oh my God.
written piece of paper. The founder's doing it all themselves. Just get a HubSpot. It's free accounts. You can actually track what leads are coming through and then see post a month and probably what you're seeing as well. Wow, we had 30 leads, but only one of them converted. Like, what the hell happened there? Who was on top of these leads? Who was talking to them? Were they qualified or not? Did we pitch the right people? Like, a CRM can just eliminate all those challenges, or just a really just rock solid spreadsheet, or someone just looking at it more wholeheartedly than someone running around trying to do a million things. So, you know, for services to work like SEO, paid, web design, you really need to have a good backbone and engine behind the agency or business that you're working on, just to make sure that you can actually see what each inquiry looks like. And if it's worth pitching, saves time, and then you can actually reinvest that money into more useful places.
Yeah. To build on like what Lawrence was saying, if you're not tracking like all of the metrics in your business, you're basically running your business blind.
Yeah.
So
a lot of businesses can get to a very big stage with nothing, like no tracking at all, basically. And it's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's wild. You
$10 million business, they have like no tracking at all. They don't even have GA installed. It's insane.
It's insane.
Massive missed opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. So like, yeah, one thing I think that I've learned like this year and seen massive results from is like what Lawrence was saying, have some sort of visible dashboard that automatically updates with your numbers. And you can use like QuickSight from like AWS, or you can use Looker Studio or HubSpot or Go High Level.
Yeah.
Whatever you decide to use, make sure your business or your clients have a CRM and they know how to use it.
Yeah.
And that's really going to help you as well as a marketing manager or like SEO specialist, really be able to tell them like what is going well and what's not going well. And you're going to be able to pinpoint exactly where in the funnel the problems are because you have clear data. But when you can only see clicks, impressions, and like click-through rate from like Google Search Console, you don't have enough data to tell them like what's really happening behind the business.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I'm getting less leads. Well, your positionings hasn't changed or increased. You know, the traffic looks stable. Everything looks normal. Have you checked actually what came through your contact form, or how many times did the phone actually ring that you didn't write down where that lead came from? Where the inquiry came from.
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably something from organic or paid or wherever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's an education piece that I'm very passionate about. It's like, just get the CRM sorted, whatever it is in your business, simple as possible. Looker Studio is actually a really great free solution for that. And then you can just see it and look at it every day and obsess over those numbers instead of just like wandering around and just trying to figure it out by asking a Pat or myself, hey, what's going on? It's like, like we can help you set that up. You just need to tell us like what you're tracking in the business. That's all we can do.
Do you guys like at Studio Hawk, do you guys help people set up their Looker Studio reports and like their GA4 and CRMs and all of that? Or what, how deep do you go with the client?
We look at that through the client qualification process. Like if they don't know their numbers initially, they're probably not a good fit for our business, and they're better off working with someone that can help them build that marketing and sales engine separately, or that CRM separately first, because that's not our mainstay at work. But yeah, we're very specific about the clientele we work with, because we want them to make sure that they have a good apprehension of what's going on in their business, so they're just not flying blind basically. Because if they work with an SEO program, they are not going to understand what you're talking about, impressions, clicks, to that level, if they don't even know how much revenue they're actually making through their channels. So we have very strict guidelines in making sure that they know that first. And if they don't, we point them in the right direction for education, or refer them out to people, and we're big on that too, that can actually help them at that stage of the business. Otherwise, our program doesn't work. as well for someone that doesn't know those metrics or doesn't have that visibility.
Okay, interesting. Yep. So if a client doesn't have the proper tracking or the proper reporting, typically like that disqualifies them from working with like studio.
If you ask a basic question like how many leads did you get last month, and for what amount, and they don't know, I'm not blaming anyone. I get it. You're busy with and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course.
But if you don't know, or if you're not willing to trust the provider to tell you, hey, you're actually doing pretty well here. This looks pretty good. Like to us, we're like, okay, if you got all the fundamentals and and you're willing to learn that stuff, great. But if you don't know those things and then expect us to be able to like flip the switch and suddenly you just turn into this amazingly growing business instantly, it's just not the type of business that we can really help fundamentally. We need to get them to that point. That's why we built something like Hawk Academy to really educate first, rather than just say, just pay us money and then we'll make your dreams come true, which we do, but it's a lot more complicated than that. So we have to be very careful about what we do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, qualification, super important. Cool. Let's talk about a common scenario then. So let's say, a client comes to you. They're like, oh man, Lawrence, our organic traffic is up 30%, which looks awesome on the report.
Yeah.
But our qualified leads from the website are flat. As an SEO expert, where do you start digging to figure out what's wrong? And is it a traffic quality problem or a website problem?
Okay, so if traffic is up, first thing I think about is what pages was it up for, and what type of traffic was that pulling in. I would think if that's branded or unbranded, do they have some sort of event or thing that happened that pushed a lot of traffic through direct that may have had a spill-on effect to organic at the same time? I would just eliminate some outlier months. I would look at that over a longer time range as well. Like, did this happen last year? I'd ask a lot of elimination questions to figure out what that was. And let's say that didn't end up being the case, and leads were flat. Two things that often come up is seasonality. Are you asking me this, in January where it's no one's basically around because it's Australia and everyone's on holiday, or you're asking me this during a really hot season, like let's say end of financial year or that period where people are looking at budgets? Then I would look at the website, like what's impeding someone from maybe inquiring on the website. And if that seemed to be the case, then I would identify if people were funneling to the right pages. Is there a problem with the form? Are there technical issues basically behind the website that would impede someone from converting? And if it's not that, then it would be some sort of, like you've said before, product or USP problem that the users aren't hitting the right pages or the right type of users coming in to inquire. Maybe something is shifted in the market or the industry that we haven't been aware of yet, and we need to identify that. Maybe a search trend has changed. Maybe there's new terminology. Maybe there's some bad brand sentiment out there. So we do a lot of elimination around that to identify. But if traffic's up, that's usually the reverse problem of what we see. It's usually traffic's down, but it leads it down, which would be a pretty clear case of like traffic is down, we need to fix something. But if traffic was up, that raises more questions than ever, especially if leads were flat.
Yeah, definitely. That's so true. I think to build on what Lawrence was saying, I think looking at the right pages that brought in the traffic is super important. And then trying to diagnose, why are people coming onto this page? Maybe the average rank went up, which is great. We're like, cool, from an SEO perspective, like everything's good because we went from position 5 on average for that page to position 2. And I'm like, okay, so like now I know why the traffic's gone up so much, because maybe we're doing a really good job. And then you look at that page, and sometimes you might realize that page where traffic went up a lot, maybe it was a blog page, it was an informational article, maybe it was a calculator resource page, maybe it was a PDF, something like that, PDF download. And what typically might happen is those pages, they don't generate leads because that person is not yet ready to convert. So they're up here. They're like, oh, I'm still in that information gathering phase. I'm not ready to call like a mortgage broker or a plumber or whoever yet. I'm just kind of investigating my problem. And what a lot of business owners forget to do is a lot of people just write the page, but they don't think about the funnel. It's like, okay, if someone's up here and they're not yet ready to buy, they're still in information gathering phase. How do I get them into the consideration phase? And then how do I get them into the conversion phase? So for example, if someone is on a calculator page for car loans, for example, right? They're typically trying to figure out, okay, how much interest am I going to pay on my car loan? And then sometimes people just put the calculator there and then that's it.
Yeah.
So then they figure out
it's a good traffic magnet.
Yeah. They figure out now, okay, I know what my interest rate is now. Cool. I'm just going to click off. But what you'll see like NAB do or like Westpac, they're like, obviously huge banks. They're very sophisticated with their website is they'll put the calculator up there. And then afterwards, they'll put at the bottom links to either more blogs or articles that are more about the consideration phase. So more middle of the funnel blogs are down here because someone who's looking for their interest rate might also be ready to move down into the consideration phase. And then below that, they put the offers that they have for car loans on that page as well. So someone who's looking up, their car interest rates might actually already be ready once they figure out the interest rate, because now they've solved that informational query. They're like, oh, I can actually afford this car. This is great. Now I want a loan. And then that option is right there, is ready to go. So that person can actually convert. So that's something that, I like to look at as well is that page conversion optimized? And that's like one of the easiest fixes. You could be like, oh man, traffic's gone up heaps. What we need to do on this page is we need to add in an easy way for someone to take the next step. And you'll be surprised at how many business owners forget to do that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I wrote the blog, they should call, right? And it's like, no, like you got to make it like dumb, stupid for that person to take the next step.
What about a pop-up? You wouldn't recommend that? Or would you?
Personally, like, I'll ask you this question actually. Yeah. Have you ever used or interacted with a pop-up?
I think I used to a lot. I think I used to back, I don't know, like 5-10 years ago. Be like, oh, cool pop-up. But now people just fucking hate them.
Yeah.
Like they just annoy the shit out of anyone.
Exactly.
Unless it was I think that's the thing is, unless it's a really good, like you're saying, like it just hacked into my brain and exactly knew what I was talking about in a very uninterrupted, like not annoying way.
Yep.
But nah, like I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I think it just devalues the experience of the website. If someone's enjoying it naturally, it's like, you don't want to mess with that experience too much because then they might go like, people are more skeptical than ever, especially going onto websites these days. So you don't want to give them anything. You don't want to give them any reason to like hate you, basically.
For sure.
Any friction, any of that.
Yeah. I feel like when pop-ups come up, it kind of reminds you of like a pop-up ad, right?
Yeah.
Like personally, I have almost never in my life engaged with a pop-up aside from closing it straight away.
Yeah.
Like I'll close it immediately. I think a pop-up is only useful if it contains a very bribey offer that would then convince someone to take action. So a lot of businesses, what they do is as soon as someone lands on the homepage or something, a pop-up comes up. And you're like, dude, I haven't even had the chance to look at what you offer or what you're about. Like, why are you giving me a pop-up right now? I think the pop-up needs to come up when they have gone to like the bottom half or bottom like quarter of the page.
Yeah.
Because at that point, they've already gone through quite a lot of information. They've taken the time to read a lot of the information, which means that this person is like open to being persuaded. Yeah. Like they're on the doorstep of buying or calling.
I was about to say when I'm landing on a very clear sales funnel page, I'm like, I know I'm being sold to. I know there's going to be a pop-up coming up. Yeah. I know you're going to try and get me if it's a course or something like I'm actually interested in. Yeah. So like people know that they're going to be sold to. Just don't make it so obvious. Yeah. Especially if they came in through a natural search result. It's just natural human stuff. Like they just that.
Exactly. And like, to your point as well, like people are so cynical these days, right? Oh, your pop-up needs to add value. A lot of people just do pop-up like sign up now or 10%. Like 10% or something like that, right? Yeah. It needs to be like, I think the 10% thing actually works quite well. Like personally, I'm like, I'll take a discount. Like,
well, like if you're looking for a particular product and then you see a 10% code, I like that. Yeah, I'm going to go for that. But if you just land it on the website, it's like 10% off, like you said. Yeah, you don't even know what this business is. Like you're going to be 10%. I don't even know if that's useful or not at this stage. So timing is so key in marketing.
Sometimes as well, I'm like, when you come up on the page and it gives you 10%, and then I'm like, I haven't even looked at, what you were saying, like the products and whatnot. I click off, and then I'm scrolling through and I'm like, oh shit, this actually looks really good. I want this thing. But then I already X'd out of the 10% discount, right? And then I don't know how to get it back. So sometimes like I'll like refresh the page on some website. It doesn't come back up. Yeah. Because then it might think like I'm not a first time visitor anymore. So it might be like, oh, I'm not going to show the pop-up again. And then I'm like, dude, like, where do I get the 10% discount? And then now I don't want to buy it because I'm like, oh, now I have to pay full price? No, I'm out of here.
Well, you can use someone else's computer. Or I go into ChatGPT. I think it has, I've seen people just go like, can you give me a discount code for this? And I don't know if it works or not, but
that's crazy, actually. That's crazy.
Oh, man.
That's a good one. But yeah, timing is like so important. Cool though, yeah. Man, we're really giving some long-winded answers. We have so much to say. Okay, cool. So this was a good one, actually. You touched on this before. How do people know what keywords actually generate revenue for them? Because you can't see that in Search Console or
you used to.
GA4.
Yeah, I think you used to, at a certain stage, you used to be able to see that. I was not born. Like, I didn't exist in this industry at the time, but that would have been so incredible. Like, to be able to see directly this non-branded keyword generated this amount of traffic. It'd be so much information to leverage. But there's some tools I know that try and aggregate that or try to make some assumptions. That's all you'll get. You'll get probably like a 50 to 60% accurate assumption based on what pages are ranking well. Like you just need to use a variety of sources and tools to try and figure that out.
Right.
Whether it's from a forecasting perspective or just using a really great domain overview tool to assume traffic plus Search Console. You can blend all together and just make kind of that assumption based on the page type. But the ability to see that. You just have to have a lot of tracking metrics to see that.
Yeah, definitely.
Unless you figured it out.
No, I mean, that's something I've always wanted to figure out. I'm like, why doesn't Google show you that? Like, it's so important.
Too much information because they want, shout out to Google, I love you guys, but they do want to get people to pay for ads, right? So they're not going to like tell you, okay, you made this much money through SEO directly.
That's what I was going to say. Like your best bet is actually to test ads for like 2-3 months because that will tell you exactly
100%.
Exactly what keywords are giving you the most amount of conversions. Granted, you have the proper like Google Tag Manager setup. Super important. So if you want to figure out like what keywords are really driving revenue for you, spend like 1.5 to 2 grand a month on ads, and then just see like because Google Ads tells you perfectly, hey, this specific keyword generated you this amount of clicks and this amount of conversions. And then you're like, okay, perfect. So I've got my answer now. Great.
I'm going to take my money and run.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm all about paid. Like being an SEO person, there's always a fight between it. But now I think with what's going on with more advanced search features and AI search, it's like we have to become buddies a bit more again because it's like, I think we're in the same boat here. If everything in the search is changing, we need to make sure that we're aligned here and like helping each other out because we don't know what's going to happen next exactly.
Yeah, no, exactly. I totally agree. Like I used to be all about like SEO only. Screw ads, don't pay for ads.
Yeah.
Because ads is like renting your traffic, right?
Yeah.
As soon as you turn the tap off, like gone. You're gonna lose everything. But then I had this thought the other day, and maybe I'll ask you this question. When was the last time you clicked on an ad?
But no, I don't think I've.
There you go.
Like maybe if it's a navigational search and I'm super lazy and I just want to get to that page as quickly as possible because I really urgently need to get to that page.
Yep.
I'll accidentally hit on the sponsored link instead of just the direct organic.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't click on ads that much personally. Who is?
Exactly.
Who is doing it?
Right. But then ads work, right?
They do.
So like I had this thought.
Who's clicking them, Pat?
I think personally,
it ain't me. It ain't you.
Yeah, exactly. It's the younger generation actually have very high skepticism and cynicism towards sponsored links.
It's the boomers.
Yeah, exactly. It's the older generation, right? That really click and engage with ads. So part of why SEO is so important is because it gives you access to a cohort that you didn't have access to before, which is the younger, less trusting audience, right? Who don't click on ads. So it's very important to do both, so you're able to access like the older audiences and then also like the younger, more cynical audiences as well.
Yeah.
And typically, from what I've seen, SEO has a higher conversion rate because people automatically assume anyone that's at the top is like a more highly trusted, reputable brand because you need to earn your position in Google's organic search results, not pay for them. So yeah, that's what I've seen. And yeah, you should do both. Like, don't do one or the other. Definitely do both. So, yeah, awesome. So, Lawrence, how are you showing service-based business owners or companies with leads their ROI? Because I know that's something you guys do at Studio Hawk, right?
Yeah. So we often ask like lead value, how much is a lead worth to you? And track conversions based off our work. It's pretty simple, and you can apply those metrics in a basic formula to them to show them how many leads came through. And the key is asking what they converted, because we don't know that information, like you pointed out, unless they have a really solid CRM. But at least if you can get a rough gauge on that, we usually feel the response that if people are happy with the results, even if we don't have those clearly defined tracking metrics communicated back to us, if they're happy with the results and they can feel their business growing off that, that's obviously a good thing. But definitively, we've tried a few different tools. I'm a big fan of Attributor. They can actually see through a contact form where the inquiry came through, and actually report that back in a Looker Studio as well. So we apply it to different businesses in different ways, but having a CRM in place makes it super easy. But if they don't want to do that and don't want to bother, but they still want to do SEO, we just try to find a way to make it work, and just constantly ask them, like, how many leads you got last month? Are things looking good? I'm not in their business day to day. I don't know what's going on. They've got their other priorities, but we try to be as proactive as possible in communication. And if they ask us a question, and they always will, and we ask ourselves this all the time, why are leads low? If we can go and identify that issue and come up with a solution, that's what we're here to do.
Do you then, because I think that's like probably, our viewers, the biggest headache is like, how do I actually know what somebody closed, right, in a month or in a quarter? Do you actually sit down with them and have a specific time and day where you just say, hey, let's put in a meeting to just talk through one by one all of the leads that came through via SEO, and tell me if you closed these or not and how much they were worth? Is that what you guys do?
We try to do it as much as possible, but it's very hard across entire client base because people are busy.
Yeah.
But again, we look at those signals and go, we report on what SEO metrics we can, and we ask them the question constantly, how are things looking this month? If we can get that meeting in, but sometimes we're working with marketing managers who don't have access to that information from the sales team. So our job can sometimes be handicapped by that, but we're as proactive as possible around that. I think, definitively trying to get 300 clients or so to sit down and do that, it's extremely difficult. So unless we could get them all onto one CRM that we could see visibly, that's a pipe dream, but we try our best effort as possible to get that information from them.
Perfect. That's something that we do and struggle with as well, because you have your end of month meeting, you might have a mid-month fortnightly meeting as well, and then you're going to add on it's like some business owners might see it as like a no value meeting, kind of like a waste of time, but it's not, because you're tracking the ROI. But having that like lead outcome meeting can be really like big time sink to a lot of business owners, like you were saying, because you're literally sitting down and being like, okay, we got you 60 leads this month. Let's go through line by line. Like, how did this lead go? How did this lead go? How did this lead go? But super important to do. I think it's so crucial to do.
So we rely on the business to tell us, are things good? Like, are you happy with the results? If they say yes, then that's what we go by as well. With e-com, it's pretty easy.
So easy. So easy.
You can look at it J4, Shopify, and just go like, is the trend looking up? If it's Black Friday coming up, ask those questions. But on lead-based businesses, that's the gold part of it, like what you can really make moves around, but it's also the hardest part of it, because it's not as clearly defined as saying, like, I bought a $10 kettle off this website. I wish it was that easy, but unfortunately not.
Tracking for service-based businesses is so much harder.
They've got, we used CallRail before. That's a great tool. They can actually hook into the phone system as well, so you can see who's called. Attributor I've used, and HubSpot. HubSpot's really great for it as well.
Can you actually talk a bit more about Attributor? I've never heard of that. What's Attributor?
It's a really simple tracking extension. All you need to do is get an account, get the tracking code, and actually input it into the custom fields of a form. I think they've got forms that you can do, WordPress, HubSpot, a whole bunch. I think the team's based in Australia as well, and I've used it to great effect. It's just really simple. It's like, where did this lead come through? Organic. It looks through it through the browser, I believe, as well. So you can see. I actually tested it through ChatGPT the other day. It came in as direct, which I think it doesn't have the capability to do that yet. Referral traffic, but you can actually just see every channel that it comes through. And it's really easy to implement on a WordPress website, and really easy to understand if you can get a traffic dashboard up through the Looker Studio.
Yeah.
It's like, I think the complexity is like how do we communicate this? It's like you just have to find the way to saying you got this many leads. This is the form that literally says where it came from.
Yeah.
And then if you tell us the amount, we can actually verify that as a revenue source that you got that month.
Yeah, right. Question for you, because attributor would help with contact forms, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then what about calls? Because that's like a big...
Depends on how your business is structured, but if you're more call based, something I think CallRail would be a really good solution for that as well. I was talking to an American company the other day, and they used that, and they were seeing AI searches and things like that coming through CallRail. They were very hyped up about it, which is really cool. And yeah, we used that in our own business for a while. Yeah, we were able to track, and it actually records the calls as well. Easy to implement, and yeah, I recommend it too. So those two tools work quite well.
Yeah. Is there a reason why you jumped off CallRail? Because that's actually something we use right now as well. Like
we really don't get as many leads through our phone system anymore, mainly through the website.
Oh, you're talking about Studio Hawk in general.
Our business too.
Yeah.
We have used that on clients before, but yeah, we personally don't use it because forgotten. But yeah, we don't use it technically anymore, but most of our stuff we track through HubSpot. HubSpot's great for it, everything. So we didn't need two systems, so we just use that.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. That sounds good. It's cool. So let's jump into another scenario. So let's say a marketing manager opens up Google Search Console and sees their site has thousands of impressions for a keyword, but a very low click-through rate. What does this signal to you? And what are the first 2 to 3 things they should investigate in order to fix it?
If you are seeing a situation where lots of impressions, low click-through rate, I would look at what the SERP is telling me first. How's it positioned on the SERP? How does it look? What is the search intent of that keyword to know, okay, is there a problem with the title, meta description of that first? Because that's the most visible thing to the user to see. And is there anything, basically just not matching up on that SERP towards that click? Is there a lot of paid ads to it as well? They're draining the clicks? Probably not. But yeah, those are the couple of things I would look at. Intent of the SERP, title, and meta description. And if the positioning is like 1 and 2, then it should have a pretty decent click-through rate, assuming. So maybe there's not a lot of demand for that thing. Or maybe it's not the type of search people click on. It's more of a research. They just want a quick answer. Or there's an AI overview that just completely swallows the click completely.
Yeah, definitely. I think what I would look at is like if this is a new surge in impressions, then it's a leading indicator, like Lauren said before. So it might just mean like that specific group of pages or a couple of pages suddenly hit page 1 for a lot of their keywords, but they're at the bottom of page 1. So then the click-through rate would naturally be quite low. And I would tell that marketing manager, like, this is actually a good sign because it means that the website is growing and it's going to be getting into a position where it can actually get clicks. Because if you're on the bottom of page 1, you're only getting like less than 1% of the actual clicks that come through for the total search volume of that keyword. So you really need to then get that from like position 9 to position like 3 or position 2 or position 1. But that's a very good leading success metric to say that, hey, the SEO is working, impressions are going up, but all we have to do now is get them into a high position. Second thing I would look at is, like Lawrence was saying as well, stealing all my points, man. You've got them all. Meta title and meta description. So what sometimes happens is you could be ranking in top positions, but your competitor has a killer meta title and meta description. That's just really clickbaity. So for example, like if you have a listicle, it says like let's say top 8 business credit cards, right? Top 8 business credit cards, but your competitor has a meta title that says like top 8 lowest interest rate business credit cards, bracket 2025. Then it's suddenly like,
what would you click on?
Yeah, exactly.
Ask yourself what you would click on.
Exactly. And then like, that meta title really understands what your audience really wants, which is the lowest interest rate. And it's also, they want the most recent information, right? So when you say like bracket 2025, you're like, oh my God, like, great, I'm going to click on this.
You could play around with that top 8 or top 10, you could yeah, that's where a lot of R&D and experimentation comes in,
Yeah.
especially around the SERPs. It's like, yeah, you got position 1 once, and then you got knocked down a few positions. You have to make a better page.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, definitely. But most of the time, it's position.
Yeah.
It's just position. It's like you're in position 9. Like you just gotta get it. You just gotta get out. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, Lawrence, we all know how to track a contact us form, but how do you measure the ROI of top of funnel content like blog posts or educational content that has potential but doesn't immediately lead to a sale? How do you connect the dots?
I have seen revenue come through blogs before, like just intermittently in my time. But then it's very hard to measure because someone will click on a blog post once and not come after.
Yep.
I would say the best thing to do now, if you wanted like a very clear line, it's things like lead magnets or where they went to after on the page as well. Did they download something? Again, did they get into your CRM it's in some way that you can say, okay, this contact visited us. We have their email address because they put their number down somewhere, put their email down somewhere. And did they inquire through on something, whether it be a free white paper or a free something through that blog post? Then we can attribute that and bring back the conversion into actual like, hey, this is where it came from originally. But otherwise, it's extremely difficult to trace that completely. All you can get is a really good assumption again.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's such, you're never going to get 100% accuracy with top of funnel stuff.
No.
I think like attributor, if you put attributor on a contact form on the blog and they engage through that, that's easier to track. But something that kind of gives you a good indication, but it's not 100% accurate, which might be helpful, is if you look at if you put Google tags onto that page and then you track how many times like people click through to other pages, or if you track how many times people click through to key events like download PDF, call now, contact us, etc. Like how many people moved to the next step, right? If you track that and you can see what are your like top 10 pages that have the most amount of key events, then you know that those are your most important informational pages. You don't really know exactly what the ROI is, but you can guess. Like, oh man, like, these pages are getting like 1,000 key events, key interactions every single month. Yeah, there's heaps of action on these pages. So you know that these pages are important to protect. You don't know the exact ROI. It's very hard, but you get like an idea. You can kind of infer as well because like for some industries, that your call to contact form ratio is maybe like 1 to 5. So for example, like some smaller local service-based industries, like if you're a plumber or landscaper or something like that, the contact form will only make up about 20% of your leads, and then the rest is going to be phone calls.
Yeah.
So then you can kind of like infer that like if your blog post is getting like 5 contact forms, but there's heaps of like clicks on call now, and you don't have access to the client's call rail or something, you can kind of infer that this page is getting roughly like 25 leads a month because it's getting like 5 contact form submissions. It's getting a lot of clicks on the call now.
Yeah.
You just can't see how many actually called through because not everybody that clicks call now actually calls through. Then you can infer how many leads you're getting from that. And then you can do like a projection into how much ROI you're getting from that page. Yeah. But it will never be like 100% accurate.
What you're talking about there, and in the conversation we'll be talking about these metrics, is we're building the narrative of story that's backed up by data that we can see, clicks, interaction with the page, what people came through on, to the result and conclusion, right? And that's a lot of the work that I think is missed in the industry. Is like you got to tell that story, and if it doesn't make sense to you, then it's not going to make sense to the client. Yep. But if you can draw those clear attributions, hey, this area of the website got really hot for this period, and your phone was running off the hook, ringing off the hook during this period, you can infer and conclude that it probably had something to do with that, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that story. If I looked at that and went, okay, nothing else happened but that, that's the problem with marketing. It's like, unless there's isolated events that you can truly show, like an event, like you literally hosted an event, and you could be like, this guy talked to me and said they came to the event and inquired through organic. You have to be able to build that awareness through everything, build that story through everything, and go, yes, throughout this work, this is the result. And that's the most powerful stuff we can do in our campaigns.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think like part of the reason why you track metrics is to tell a story. That's the whole point of tracking the metrics, right? So then, like, there was a good story recently where we had a client who's in number one positions for Google Map Pack. And in month one, his revenue was down from the previous month. And then the following month, his revenue went down again, right? But then in the third month, his revenue spiked up to hitting record highs. And it was really important for us to tell the story that, hey man, even though your revenue has been going down for 2 months in a row, you're still in the number one position. So we know that it's not a positional thing that's causing the revenue to go down. It's likely a seasonal thing.
Yeah.
Right. And then what we did was we showed him with Google search trends that at that particular month, it is the lowest search demand in the entire year. Right. For those 3 months, like those 2 months he was down, it was the lowest in the entire year. So we helped to frame his expectation that, oh, these 2 months, I'm going to be having some softer months because it's just not a popular time of year for my business. And then when we did that, like, even though, the results were going down, he didn't panic and he wasn't like, oh my God, you guys aren't doing your job. Like, I'm going to blame you. This isn't working. And then because we were able to use data to help him understand the story, he was more than happy to stick it out. And then month 3, he soared. Yeah. And that's also like one of the most important things with storytelling with SEO, I believe, is when you're looking at your metrics, don't just look at them month on month. You need to zoom out. You need to look at things on a quarterly basis, because what might happen, and it happened in this exact instance, was month 1 and month 2 were down month on month, and then month 3 went up. But if you looked at the quarters, quarter 1 to quarter 2, there was growth. So then if you zoom out, the business owner is now like, oh my God, instead of seeing this really like dirty zigzag where data is really hard to comprehend, he just compared quarter 1 to quarter 2 and the data was very clean. It was just up and to the right. And that told a really good story to him, because he was like, oh shit, like I can see that things are really working out in the long term now. And my perception of how the campaign is going is like greatly improved. And now I've also transferred him into a more long-term mindset, because now he's not looking at it month on month anymore. He's looking at it quarter to quarter. So then that really helps, like, clients just not panic and just take a more like longer term view. Yeah. So yeah, really important to craft the story.
In Black Friday seasons as well is very important too. Like that last quarter of the year, that's where a lot of brands are making a significant portion of their revenue. And then they look at the next quarter and go, oh, well, what's going on? This is terrible. It's like, well, you made like 300% more than you did last year in that last quarter. Like that's, business isn't linear. I think that's the most important lesson that I've learned running the business and also doing SEO. It's not linear. It will go like this.
Yes.
But if it's going like this steadily over time, that's what every business wants. But everyone wants it to go like absolutely to the moon. It's just laws of the universe. It will never be that sort of like every month growing consistently. If you want that, you would have a unicorn of a business that would just never stop growing. But it always has to take dips and troughs, and the seasonality is perfectly explained there. It's just like there's some industries that don't have that. Everyone's on all the time. It just doesn't happen. People go on holiday. Like in the UK, people go on holiday pretty much from summertime until Christmas, and then it's Christmas. So,
dude, that's so true.
Adding that nuance and context behind search demand is such a clever way of doing that as well, and like showing the Google trend against that, showing the quarter-on-quarter research. So all we're doing is adding that contextual information that likely some business owners or marketing managers have never seen before, because they are in positions where they're trying to figure these things out and where that help them, which is the fun stuff.
Yeah. Like sometimes a business isn't actually doing bad. And sometimes like your like CEO or like, your client will panic because they're having a crisis because the past 2 months were bad. But they're just looking at it within a very small vacuum of time. And
you could also be comparing it to COVID years as well. It's like, oh, we're growing. COVID years were better. I'm like, yeah, because everyone was at home.
Yeah.
Buying online, they weren't going outside.
Yeah. So sometimes like the metrics are there to help you contain panic. Like, I think that the most important like comparison metrics to look at is month on month, quarter on quarter, and year on year, like you were saying before. Because if you look at all three of those, it really tells you a really clear story. So like a classic example of seasonality, like Lawrence was saying before, is December to January. December, Christmas time, everyone's buying presents for, their friends and family. Everyone's, just tapping the credit card like crazy, right? It's spending season. Everyone's going crazy. And then you look at January, everyone's on holiday, everyone's cashed out, credit cards are maxed out, they need to take a break.
They're signing up to the gym, so it's a great time for the fitness industry.
Yeah.
The best time for the fitness industry.
Exactly.
So they'll be like, oh, this is great. And then all the ecom brands are like, oh, this is shit.
Yeah.
But then all the gym ecom brands, they're like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
as well. So fitness is like the hot time for January. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, well, what a lot of businesses might see is like, they'll see December to January, month on month, huge decline.
Yeah.
Huge decline. And then they'll also see that December quarter to the January to March quarter, huge decline as well. And like, holy crap, like, we're seeing a lot of red. But then when you look at year on year, then all of a sudden you see green. You're like, oh, wait, like December year on year, we were up. January year on year, we're up. February year on year, we're up. So then you're like, oh, I actually have the full picture now. It's very typical for my business and my industry to have really high Decembers, low Januaries, and like low Februaries.
Yeah.
So then now, but we're doing better than we did last year, which means that we're outperforming our business in this season, which is a good thing, because then now that's a metric for you to say the business is growing, right? Even though you saw negative month on month, negative quarter on quarter, but you saw positive year on year, then now all of a sudden the business owner is like, ooh, like, oh, like, I'm going to calm down now. Like I understand the story. So yeah, that's why it's important to have all three of those, and then you can really tell like clear picture of like what's going on.
Then also on top of that, just making sure you're even now getting a layer deeper, financially forecasting out for that seasonality.
Yes.
So you know that when your lower periods are happening, you've actually accounted for those in your budget. If you're just doing every single month, like just growing, it's not going to work that way. It's just, it's harder. It's smarter to forecast out that way. And I think that's where some of the panic sets in. It's like, oh, we had a bad month and we thought we would have a good month. It's like, well, then next year don't like assume that. Be very conservative with your forecasts on everything. So that really helps guide what MQLs you need, or what kind of conversions you need, or how much marketing budget you have for those periods. And it all ties in, basically. So even down to the deeper layer of business owners, getting your finances sorted also helps marketing long term as well. Just knowing when things are going to happen. It's what everyone wants to know. But if you can get a pretty good assumption going, you'll be fine.
That's a really good point you brought up around projections as well, and like future forecast. I guess, do you have any advice on how do businesses set SEO forecasts and targets? Because it's different for every single business, right? Like you can't apply like a blanket rule for every business, like 10% every month. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So how do you, how would you advise somebody set targets for SEO metrics?
So if I was in their business and like not the person in control of their budget, but let's say I was actually, let's say I was controlling the budget. The way we look at it is we have to pick one sort of leading channel. That might be SEO, or it might be paid ads, for instance, because that's the most stable ROI investment. You can see that thread coming through really easily. Like if we paid this much in paid ads, for instance, then we know that we'll get this many leads. Then if we extrapolate that out and say, hey, based on the diversity of our channels, we know that the share of the channels that have existed already, 30% is paid ads, 30% is SEO. Well, that means that of that paid ads budget, we should probably have this amount of SEO budget compared to that to generate the amount of leads that would amount to that traffic share. So you really just need that historical data to tell you. Otherwise, you're just like, just finger in the sky, just like, I think this will happen. But at least if you know, you have at least maybe that quarter, if you haven't started already, just have 3 months of going, we've got this many leads through paid, this many leads through organic, direct, and then you know how to apply, okay, if we paid this much in paid, because or even if it's events or something else, you can break that down and go, okay, I should pay this much in SEO if I want generally this amount of leads, but the people that never start that will never know that. So you have to you actually have to put a budget against it that you're not sure about, and then do it for a year. This is something that Rand Fishkin said as well. It's just like, you have to be willing to spend money on something that you're not sure is going to work for a long period of time. So then you know if it works or not. That's the key of the entire marketing funnel. Like otherwise you will never be able to forecast this stuff out. But if you paid $1,200 a month for an entire year and you got, $100,000 of new business revenue, recurring business revenue, and you grew $1.2 million. Well, if I pay, double that, I should grow $2 million through the channel. Now, this is like some very vague assumptions and very lofty things, but you should be able to make at least some of those informed decisions. But I don't think you'll ever be able to get a more accurate forecast unless you've done it for 3 years consistently, because then you have at least 3 years to backdate everything off.
Yep.
So 1 year you'll have a bit clearer picture, maybe like a 50% gauge and then 60% gauge and 70% full accuracy. Then you would need to be able to predict market trends, which you can't.
Yeah.
So about 70% is the rule that I
Yeah.
sort of guide my life by.
Yeah. What about like businesses that don't have any historical, I guess like, metric history? How do you still do forecasts for them? Like, would you say, hey, in your SEO campaign, in 6 months, we're going to target like 500 clicks? Like, do you do that for businesses?
Yeah, we do. It's much easier with ecom because there's a lot more baseline of revenue to base off. But if we don't have any data to work off, we can't do that. So clicks, yes, but then you have to understand like is 500 clicks good? Well, compared to what you were getting last year, it should be good. So we set those targets and goals, but again, we're just dealing with the semantics of like what will happen in the marketing funnel. They could have less clicks, but then have a shit ton more leads.
Yeah.
So we should have at least a target on everything. And if we hit 3 or 4 of those targets without, maybe one completely fails, but the rest look good, because the lagging indicator is, did they make more money or did they grow compared to the previous year? If they did, then you can say technically we achieved the goal. But if all the other leading indicators look a bit wonky, but if we got the final result, then I think we've done our job. But at least then we can reflect on those goals and then go, okay, in the next 6 months, we're going to adjust these to account for those things that we didn't know previously.
Yeah.
So for us, like the first year of the campaign is really just, let's just see what we can do with what we currently have and then forecast out the next year based on what we know will happen throughout that campaign.
Yeah.
So the information gathering doesn't ever end, really.
Yeah. So would you still, I'm guessing from what you're saying, you still do forecasting for everyone, even if they don't have any historical metrics?
We'll set as some form of goal.
Yeah.
But we want to build towards those historic metrics as well.
Yeah.
Some clients we take on, they haven't even had GA4 installed.
Exactly. Yeah. You're like, how do I?
Less of those these days, but like, yeah. I mean, a really great story I saw the other day is we've got a new lower budget offering, which is really great. And we've been able to track in SEO Gets. I don't know if you've used that tool, but it's a really great search console tool. And then we've been able to segment all those clients within a particular segmentation. So we can see when they started from this particular date, every new client, all we did was this thing, which was social proof. We just built out their about us pages. And in the 3rd month, they usually saw between a 20 to 30% increase in impressions and therefore an increase in clicks as well. So it's like, okay, we can get more definitive. The more definitive we are about what we do and siloed in our approach, the more conclusions that we can make off this.
Definitely.
The problem with SEO is like there's so much random stuff that can happen. Unless you really meticulously performing those tests, you'll never really know. But once you gather enough of that information, you build more confidence in your roadmaps.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose a good question for our I guess like marketing managers out there or whatnot is, I remember in my time when I was working in corporate, right, the management really cared about targets and budgets, right? They'll be like, what do you forecast that you're going to do the next 2 quarters or whatever? But a trap a lot of people can get into is, how do I not shoot myself in the foot and like sabotage my own story because I set the targets too high? Like, do you know what I mean? Like you could perform exceptionally, like outpacing the market and everything. But then if you gave yourself too high of a target, when you're presenting results, it looks really bad. Like it makes you look bad because you didn't meet target, because your target was too ambitious. Yeah. So do you have any advice on making sure that you don't shoot yourself in the foot from a storytelling perspective when you're setting targets?
Personal experience in this, I've forecasted, very conservatively, and we've overshot them. So I kind of shot myself in the foot by underplaying results, basically. And then the reverse of that's happened. I think just over time, that's why I said the 3-year thing. 1 year, good year, 1 bad year, and then something in between. Like you could try, like you will never truly know, but you can at least use as many data points in your toolkit, from everything from impressions down to revenue, down to close rate, everything possible. If you wanted to get the most accurate forecast, you still may be wrong. But part of that gumption of being in marketing is actually saying, I think we should do this because I think we should spend X money in this, and it working or not working. not saying it's complete gambling, but at least you have some sort of a last year forecast to work off, or last year set of data to go, okay, around Black Friday, we should make a bit of money, so we should invest more. Another thing that you can use is just competitive benchmarks. If you can get a gauge on competitive benchmarks, how much they're paying on paid, using some of those great aggregate tools out there that can give that information, you should just get a very good general sense. Or just pitch it low and conservative. You can't really fail on that.
Yeah.
The board might not be impressed. The CEO might not be as impressed, but you haven't underpinned yourself completely.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes you just have to say, screw it. Let's just see if this works.
Yeah.
No one's going to die or anything based on a bad forecast. But you can always reforecast, especially after a first quarter. True. You can go, you know what, I need to adjust this. And people understand that. They won't ever sort of hold a gun to your head and say, you have to complete this forecast.
Yeah.
Like, if it's not working, then it's not working. Yeah. I'd rather people call out if it's not working and go, we need to readjust this and re-baseline this because I was wrong. Then just keep going and going, oh, maybe we'll make this back. Just because I think it's healthier and, at least starting. That's what, when I come to people and, we talk about anything around a business, KPIs or something, you just have to start with something. If you don't start with anything, then you will never have anything to measure against. And that measurement may be completely wrong when you do it the first time, but then you'll know. And then you won't do it again. And then you will learn a little bit along the way. Yeah.
That's actually so true. Like, if you are very unsure with your forecast, you can always just adjust it later.
It's a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But then you'll know if it's not working. Within 3 months, you will know if it's not working.
Yeah.
And then you adjust it. You do have to give it time.
Yeah.
It's like the hardest thing in our jobs is just being patient. Because it's like almost built on not to be patient. Yeah. But you got to let things cook. Yeah. Fundamentally. Otherwise, you'll never know if they work. Yeah. That's why I love and hate about SEO. It's like, we can do all this great stuff, but then you have to literally wait a year for it to actually come to fruition.
Yeah. Do you have any tips that you use to make sure that your targets and forecasts are ambitious enough, but also conservative enough that you don't shoot yourself in the foot? Do you have any rules that you use? Okay, let me look at, what we did in the past year, and I'll add 10% to that, or I'll subtract 20% from that. Or do you have any simple tips that people can use?
It's who the audience is for as well. How much does the business want to grow? If we're talking about SEO in a particular segmented siloed channel, okay, that's easier. But if you're talking about a whole marketing budget versus entire business, then it's just depending on what the growth goals are. Yeah. If the growth goal is to grow 20%, and I think SEO can contribute 2% of that growth in some intangible way, then I've got something to work off. But if the business is not asking for that amount of growth, then don't pitch that amount of growth. You really have to, I think that a lot of the questions and people are unclear on, especially from the top, is where do they actually want to go? Because everyone just wants more growth for the cheapest amount of money possible. Oh yeah. But if you ask, how much do you want to grow in the next year? And they go, I don't know. And it's well, then I don't know what to pitch this at. But I think if you want to grow 20%, we should go for something like this. But, looking at 10%, 20%, 30%, I think doing 40 to 50 is pretty insane. And that's probably something out of reach. But most businesses generally growing between, let's say, 0 to 30% in a good is a pretty successful year. Considering what can happen in that year as well. Yeah. But at minimum 10%, I'd say. Yeah. I go by that framework, 10 to 30%. And then asking what the actual goals of the business are. Yeah. Because if they're just we just want to kind of maintain, you don't need to go bananas and give them an insane forecast. You can just give them something simple and we'll try to grow traffic 20% because that matches up to, if you go traffic 20%, you probably make 10% of that in closed revenue. Yeah.
Have you ever missed targets, but then people still be happy with the result?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell a story of when that's happened?
Maybe
I'll go first.
Yeah, go first.
Yeah. Okay, so I think having as much contextual information as possible is always best, because sometimes what's happened is for a particular client, we set a target that was too ambitious, right? And then what's happened is target's always up here, but then our result is always here, right? And it looks like we're always under. But then what we do is, even though we're always under, and it's red every month against target, when it's against competitors or the market, it's green. So we're showing hey, this is you, and then this is the market down here. They declined 7%, you were up 20%. Then they're oh my God, that's great. Like, even though you guys aren't like hitting the target, the fact that we're outpacing the market and our most active and direct competitors shows us that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Right. And then every other metric is green, revenue's up, leads are up, everything else. So you won't live and die by your targets as long as the other metrics look good. So it's important to have all of those other ones.
Like you were saying before, it's like if you're position 1 and let's say things are down, your competitors aren't probably doing as well as you if you're positioned and locked into a very strong position in Google.
Yep.
Because if the market's down, then they're probably down because it's a very normal business owner thing to go. And I get it. I get competitive. It's like, I want to beat everyone else. But it's like, well, if everyone's experiencing a slump at different times, or maybe they're doing better because they're doing something different, cool. But you got to focus on what's working for your brand. And if you benchmarking against competitors and also a forecast that you set, and everything's looking pretty healthy over time, then you're in a pretty good advantageous position to grow.
Yeah, definitely. I've also been in a position actually where we outpaced forecast by like 100% every single week, which is insane, right? Every single week, which is insane. And then the management of the company, like they didn't really like care. They were just like, oh yeah, nice, like cool, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. And I was like, dude, like these results are insane. And then they're like, yeah, nice, like just do what just do what you do.
So I'm hard at work for this. But again, like people maybe like truthfully don't care as much as we do about some of this stuff, but it's okay. We're doing our job. It's exactly the duty of people working hard at this stuff to just go like, look, if they're not impressed, I'll just have to impress them the next time.
Yeah, exactly. I think as well, like from that story, something that I really missed out on doing and like the team missed out on doing was we didn't provide context. So like we didn't tell them how well the rest of the market was doing, because if we showed them how well the competitors were actually doing compared to what our targets were, then it would have seemed much more impressive. So that was like a miss from our part. So I think a key takeaway is don't show people information and stats in isolation. Always give context as to why that figure is impressive or important, because otherwise people won't fully understand like the gravity of your performance. So that's always really important. Cool. So Lawrence, what tools are you using to track what competitors are doing? Because our metrics are really important, but it's super important to also see what the market is doing, right? So what tools are you using at the moment?
To track competitors, SEO campaigns, we use the classic SEMrush Ahrefs. Thinking about it, I'm not too, this is just my philosophy, but competitors like doing well, I'm mostly just looking at them to see what they're doing that's working. So just doing some deep analysis and more competitor auditing than just sort of going, the competitors, we're doing better than them. But I want to know what's kind of working well on their website. So it's a bit more going deeper in and actually analyzing their site structure, analyzing any changes they've made as well. But we usually use SEMrush and Ahrefs to do that.
Yeah, same. I think sometimes, let's say like your competitors are doing better than you, but you're still doing awesome. Like if your business is still growing, the market is typically never just going to default to like one or two people. Like there's, depending on what type of business
you are. There's a new business starting every day.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a small business, even if your competitors are doing better than you, like there's enough people in your market for you to still succeed and for your competitors to succeed as well. So as long as your business is growing like month on month, quarter on quarter, year on year, even if it's a little slower than the competitors, if you're still growing, I think that's something to celebrate. So comparison is the thief of joy. So don't always look at like, oh my God, they're doing so much better than me. Like, I suck. It's like, no, like you're still doing well as well.
Another thing to look at is just check the SERP. I think the SERP is the best competitor research tool there is. Just like Google whatever target keyword you have on that first page. Check out what the other people are doing. Have they changed the title tag? Have they, that's just a daily thing you can do. Just check on if people are doing anything different. But usually it's pretty slow. But when they do something different, note it down and see if it does a better position than you.
Yep. Alrighty, cool. Well, that was all of the questions that I had. Lawrence, do you want to leave our viewers with your final hot take on tracking SEO metrics. Any final words you want to give them?
Look, in all we've talked about, it's like, great, we can track all this stuff, we can get dashboards up. You do have to commit to something. It's like everyone wants that magic formula to say, yes, I've got this dashboard up, everything should go well at this point. You got to put some actual money behind it. Like there has to be some form of investment. If you're doing it yourself and building pages and writing blogs, it's a very cheap and cost-effective way to do SEO just by doing it yourself, but not engaging with a provider that can give you that ROI, but also the effort value, the adaptation, the competitor analysis while you're focusing on your brand, we're focusing on the SEO. You have to invest in something, whether you do it internally yourself by hiring someone in-house or go to an external provider such as myself, yourself. You're never going to know if that channel works for you. And being okay with that, being okay with committing a year potentially of your budget to a channel that may not perform really well for you, at least then you'll know. You'll answer the question yourself and be like, look, SEO doesn't work for me. I'm going to find a different channel. I'm going to do event marketing or something else. I'm cool with that. Just don't come at SEO being like, I've invested 20 grand once in my life and this didn't work, so fuck you. It's not how marketing works.
Jeez. Some trauma in there.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's fine. I just think, people need to be more aware of like, if you're wanting to grow, you have to invest some form of money. You can't just luck into it. You'll hit a cap. Maybe you'll grow off the your own sweat and the great brand you build. But if you want to rank well, you have to invest in something. You can't get away with not doing it.
Love it. I would say month on month, quarter on quarter, year on year. Make sure you track those 3 comparisons, and that will give you a really clear picture of how you're doing, like overall, and it will count for seasonality, campaigns that you're doing, etc. So if you track those 3, you're going to be in a really good spot and better than most, I think.
100%.
Awesome. Well, that's it, guys. That's it for episode 5. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Ciao.